Is the purpose of your film to defeat the Polymet project or to defend northeastern Minnesota as a whole?
Good question. The purpose of the film is to raise awareness. So we felt like this kind of, well, I think that depends on, we made the film, and if you notice, there's no call to action in the film.
Oh, okay.
We made a film that was informative about sulfide mining and the risks associated with sulfide mining in that part of Minnesota, which is a very wet system. And so we provide people with information. We'll, as issues emerge and as we get more information, for example, on the Polymet project, then we can also offer you, our organization's own position. But we really wanted this to be a film that this is going to be an issue that's going to be with Minnesota for a while. The mine site itself has never been mined before, and much of it are bogs or peatlands. And peatlands especially are, they take hundreds of years, millennia to develop, and they are one of the best environments for sequestering carbon. Governor's Commission that have both called for no more loss of Minnesota peatlands because of the ability to sequester carbon. One of the biggest issues for this project is the risks of mercury contamination from a couple of different sources. Excavation and changes in hydrology can release naturally occurring mercury into aquatic systems, but the discharges coming off of this plant will also release sulfates. And sulfates interact within the aquatic system with bacteria that then turn naturally occurring mercury that is in a non-toxic form into a toxic form that bioaccumulates in fish. And that's where you get those fish advisories, consumption advisories.
Does the failing grade from the EPA, does that trump everything? If they say, no good, then the project cannot continue?
If they can't resolve their differences, then they'll refer it to the Council on Environmental Quality out of the White House. And then usually in that case, the CEQ sides with the EPA, and typically. And so my guess is, there'll be at least significant delays if that happens, if not, I think eventually it could kill the project if they can't resolve some of those issues. And one of our goals within the conservation community is to kind of keep them on task like that and continue to urge them to keep hold us to those high standards. And, what we have said is, if it's a good deal for the state of Minnesota, it should stand the test of public scrutiny. Have a normal EIS process with public oversight and comment period and so forth. Don't cut the public out. Don't do a special deal for one industry and the public doesn't get a chance to weigh in. Actually, financial assurance is an incentive for the mining company to do it right. Because as the mine goes through the life of the mine, there's less and less revenue that comes back to the investor, right, as the ore plays out. If you have that damage deposit waiting at if you're cleaning as you go and you're being a good, responsible mining company and you're taking care of problems as they arise and you're mitigating issues, when you get to the end of the life of the mine, you're either going to get all or most of that deposit back, and suddenly you've got a big infusion of cash that you're giving back to your investors. So it's some kind of a carrot out there for them to do the right thing in real time as they go, as opposed to cut and run, which is what we have seen with this industry over and over and over again.
I keep thinking about what's driving this. What is it that we as consumers, that we as a society want and need and say is important, that we have to do this to get? I mean, does this go into weapons manufacture? Do these things go...
Hold up your cell phone.
Cell phones? That's what I'm,
cell phones, computer technology, green technology, nickel batteries for fuel-efficient cars, wind turbines. We live in a complicated world without easy answers. The reality is that we have enormous stockpiles already. So there may be not an urgency to get at the resources to manufacture products with them right now, but there definitely is money to be made. One of the biggest selling point for these products right now is the economy and the state of jobs. And that is really what trumps this whole discussion. And so it's a very delicate thing. We acknowledge that those economies, especially in northern Minnesota, are really hurting. There are people out of work. They are desperate for jobs. We believe that the actual numbers of jobs that they're talking about do not come anywhere close to what they're saying. But nevertheless, once you start to engage in that argument, you start to sound heartless, that you don't care about jobs, you don't care about people. And so we're trying to find a way to have that conversation or bring those issues into light without, sort of appearing to be callous. Our biggest challenge is just engaging more of the public in the conversation.